Hey guys, Taeian here. This video is kind of like an update, semi based off my last video that I just did. That's probably going to be before this, which I did what I think is the best for a cycle. This video is basically just explaining that semi more in depth, but also what basically having all my guys do with much better success and what I think is much better for the everyday bodybuilder, gym rat, whatever you want to call it, for the most part. So in my video I explain on what I think is the best for a cycle, and that would be something like D-bol or Halo. The reasons for that is because the amazing safety profile. Gonna clear this up. The studies on especially Halo, everybody thinks it's toxic. The studies on Halo showed that they use upwards of 2 years, women and children, and had a safer profile than Anavar on the liver and many other aspects. And everybody knows Anavar is a really safe item for many aspects. So these two items are very strong, very good safety profile, D-bol and Halo. Much more anabolic than testosterone, and even proven so in humans. So especially if somebody wanted to run a low dose, example with D-bol, it was 5 times as anabolic in humans. So 10 milligrams is like 50 milligrams testosterone. You want to run a very low dose cycle, there you go. And then the other benefit was that there's no shutdown, especially if you're doing a first cycle. Why would you shut yourself down for upwards of 4 months to 2 years, which was the average recovery time between there for somebody using even TRT dosages? Why would you go almost 2 years if it took that long of low hormones? Who'd want that? So this video is what I have switched basically all my clients to for like the past, I don't even know, many months, maybe almost a year now. I don't, hard to keep track. So yeah, I've switched everybody over basically to oral only cycles. Again, most of these guys are just regular people. Some of them can compete, some of them want to compete, etc. And it still makes no sense for somebody, especially when we're using low dosages. It makes no sense to go and shut yourself down, because let's say they didn't want to have kids. Even that's not the point. When you shut yourself down, long-term anabolic steroid use presents itself as adrenal insufficiency. This is why you go in the TRT forums and you see all of these guys, not all of them, but a large majority of them, on a whole bunch of other drugs, talking about feeling like death, super fatigue, digestion goes off, because it starts shutting down or lowering adrenal hormones, which is needed to convert your protein, carb, and fats, all your calories, into utilizable energy in your body. So people start just feeling like complete and utter crap. So avoiding shutdown is, very beneficial. And then not just that, on top of it, why not have your natural hormone production still going? And again, if you see my other videos, D-bol and Halo did not shut people down. They did this upwards of 2 years, even decently moderate high dosages, and there was no shutdown. LH, FSH was all still intact. So why shut yourself down if you don't have to? The only argument people make for this is that generally, orals are liver toxic. There's studies in women using upwards of 200 milligrams of D-bol a day. Very safe liver toxicity. Again, the Halo was compared to Anavar and even safer on the liver than Anavar. So especially utilizing low dosages in my cycles, if most of you follow me know, at least just 4 to 6 week cycles, that's when androgen receptors start to go down. There's no point in running an injectable for the everyday gym rat or / bodybuilder, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to get more gains. You're also going to get less sides, especially with D-bol and Halo. If you guys follow me, there's only a few hair safe anabolic steroids, and those are one of the two. So you're going to get way more gains. You can run a much lower dose, extremely great safety profile. Now here's the benefit, the major benefit of this for a bodybuilder. When you run, especially a long ester injectable, depending on the dose, you're going to need 4 to 6 weeks off for the androgen receptors to recover. And if you run a much higher dose of a very long ester, you're going to need much longer than that. The main benefit of the orals is that they're in and out. When you stop it, it's out. Well, depending on the oral, the oral and the dose, it's gone basically within 24 hours. So those receptors can start to recover very rapidly. You need a very, very small time frame off. And now you can do back-to-back cycles with almost no downtime. Whereas before, with something like, DECA or Testy or longer, whatever esters, you would have to, again, come off for that 4 to 6 weeks. And it's like, what do you do then? Sometimes you cut a little bit, sometimes you maintain, depending on the person's goals and how they're looking. And that's just a lot of downtime. Let's say somebody wants an extreme growth phase. They can now do back-to-back cycles, bam, utilize the D-bol, the Halo, whatever they're utilizing, have that short time frame off, go right back on. Nothing but back-to-back cycles for amazing growth. And if you haven't read my article on androgen receptor downregulation, it's on my website, Taeian.com, and I also have a video on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I did a video on it. What studies show all across the board, whether it was long-Eastern injectables or orals, they showed that out of 12-week period, all the gains in strength and size, 90% of it was in the first 6 weeks. Going an extra 6 weeks, only 10% of gains. So why would you extend the cycle to get 10% of gains when you could come off and get another 90%? It makes no sense. And people always argue androgen receptor downregulation doesn't happen, and they always post that same review paper. And that review paper is the review paper goes on to say something like, "Oh, there's no proof. I haven't came across a study that androgen receptors downregulate." Just because that person hasn't found the studies that show they downregulate, like I have in my article, doesn't mean they don't downregulate. It means you haven't found the paper that shows such. And people who are doing these research papers, they are people like you and me. They're normal humans, but they went to school for something, and they go to school for different things depending on what their field is. They went to school for something, and this is what they've chosen to make as their specialty, and it doesn't mean they've read every single paper out there. It doesn't. So again, they don't reference the paper that I reference. Vigor Steve also did a video on this, and I don't believe he referenced the paper I referenced. The only paper he referenced, and this is what is all agreed upon. When you first take anabolics, the androgen receptors upregulate. And when they upregulate, this is where all the gains come from. As studies show, it didn't matter your hormone levels, it matters your androgen receptor sensitivity. The more sensitive, the more gains you got, regardless of your hormone levels. So this is why all the gains are from anabolics when they upregulate your receptors. Now, what this study showed was that after a certain amount of time, those androgen receptors returned to baseline, and that it still had an anti-catabolic effect, which accounted for that, that 10% extra increase in gains, because you're now anti-catabolic, but no longer anabolic. You need a certain amount of time off, depending on the dose and the ester, to recover those receptors. And again, everybody always quotes studies, be like, "Oh no, look, androgens upregulate receptors." Okay, what are those studies? Okay, let's take whether it's a mouse or whatever they take in these studies. They will then test the androgen receptor shortly after the anabolic steroid is initiated. Yes, correct. Anabolic steroids upregulate androgen receptors. That's what is all agreed upon there. None of these studies show what happens at the week 6 mark. At the week 6 mark and beyond that. So again, there's all these studies on Anavar, studies on DECA, studies on TEST-D, studies on a few other items, I forget which, where they all showed, again, they went to about 12 weeks each time, and all the gains were in the first 6 weeks. So all these studies show a more real world result of gains just stopping. And then we had the study that tested the androgen receptor multiple months into the anabolic steroid use, and bam, receptors were returned to baseline. There is not a single study, except for the one that I posted, the 2 I posted, that showed the 6-week mark and beyond. Every single study is basically shortly after initiation that shows androgen receptors upregulated, and nobody is denying that. That is literally why all the real world studies, I call them real world because they're actually in humans and testing muscle growth and strength, show that up till 6 weeks that they had amazing strength and amazing size. Literally, once past that, the gains went to crap. And then my studies, they show that. So nobody ever argues that studies. They just ignore it. The one that I post that show that they downregulate. And I've had so many clients that wanted to believe, "Oh no, I want to keep going. I want to test this out. I want to double my dose." And that's the other thing. People think, "Oh, if I keep upping my dose, this will work." That's no science on this that it will keep upping the receptors, to which I've tried this on endless amounts of clients that wanted to keep upping the dose, eat more food, everything. Even if they doubled the dose, ate an insane amount of food, no more muscle growth was had. They'd be lucky to gain like that pound or 2 for many weeks following, even eating an insane amount of more food. So no studies on this, but in my anecdotal experience, it does not work. In every single person I've had as a client, follower, whatever, who tries this, doesn't work. So yeah, guys, that's what I'm switching all my guys to, and the results for everybody has been amazing, and every single person I've switched over to this. Now, even some people who are on TRT and want to remain on TRT, I still had them switch over to this, and every single person is not going back to running an injectable cycle or shutting themselves down if they were still, unshut down. Every single person loves it. The gains are beyond well better. I have one guy who was running like a gram of testosterone before, he ran a gram of Deca and some other items. And on a low dose debol cycle, within the first cycle, he was at his the weight when he ended the testosterone cycle. And as you know, that you have a lot of water weight with testosterone more than debol. He was within like the first week, he was already at that weight, and then the next week he was beyond that. Everybody is beyond past their the weight and size that they've ever been before. Everybody's absolutely just loving the effects, mental effects. It's blowing any basically injectable cycle that they ran out of the water, focusing on just the orals, the gain, side effects, the back-to-back cycles. Everybody is just absolutely loving it. So this is what I'm having most of my guys do. Obviously, with a client and present to them like, hey, here's all the benefits, here's the differences, whatever, and everybody that switches it's the best thing ever. So did I touch everything over on this topic? Again, and the reason I mentioned namely debol and halo is because a lot of my guys are hair loss sufferers. They don't want to lose their hair, and if you guys follow my videos and articles, you see I've recovered lots of people's hair loss naturally, safely, and these are one of the few items that are very, very hair safe, and they're the two items that absolutely had basically zero impact on LHFA, etc. So for people who want to avoid shutdown, and then on top of it, these items are just an extremely great safety profile with basically no sides. So this is why these are my main go-to items ish. I do have some people running some things a little bit different, like my one guy's on a debol T-ball combo. Everybody knows I love T-ball as well. Not as hair safe. Yeah, so that's basically it, guys. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for subscribing to my YouTube, my forums and stuff like this. Okay, and everybody, this main point I want to make to everybody who signs up to my forums. One of the main benefits to this is that one of the main things I utilize my forums for, because I get tons of messages, whether it's in my Facebook group, IG, Facebook, whatever. One of the main benefits to the forum is that you can ask me literally whatever you want. A lot of people know I'm always slow to reply on IG and stuff like this, and I always answer everybody for free. I've always done that for years. I'm slower on that, obviously, now, that is. One of the main benefits to the forums is that you go in there and ask any question you want, as many questions as you want as well. That was one of the main reasons I made the forum. So it's kind of like, hey, here you go. Everybody the people especially that always blow up my inbox, there's always certain amounts of people that just question after question. That's kind of what I made the forum for, is you can ask unlimited questions and just go crazy on there. So yeah, thanks everybody who subscribes to my forum already, YouTube and everything like that, and thanks for watching, guys. Take care.